Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rehash the Rolls. Having a very special rehash today, um, where we have everybody. As we are come to the conclusion of a major arc, and as such, we felt like it would be a good idea to have everybody and ask everybody questions and things about that arc, as well as a few other things. We do have a special guest host today, Eric, who hosted Rehash previously. He's here to help us out today, and we are very grateful for him. First off, just some announcements. We will be having Ready to Roll will be resuming on its usual schedule. So that means we will be back next week, the 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We don't foresee any holiday interruptions. But we will keep you advised as to that, as you know, the holidays can be a tricky time, and sometimes it's come out of the blue. The other thing is Rehash is going to see a change up. We're no longer going to have Rehash be an every other week show like it has been. Instead, Rehash is going to be for when we have these important wrap-ups and these are important things that happen in sessions that we all want to talk about. So just be on the lookout for when we say Rehash is going to be starting. And then still feel free to submit your questions, and we will queue them up for when we do Rehash. Other than that, that's all the announcements that I have at this time, and we're going to turn the time over to Eric.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. I have a plethora of questions, so I strongly suggest that you settle in. Hopefully, you have something to drink, because some of you might be talking for a long time. And then I will, as I am wont to do, probe you on certain answers if I want more information. So be ready for that, because I may hit you with those mediocrely hitting questions. We're gonna lead off, and if Patrick, you're referencing the document, too bad, because I'm not going to go in order. We're going to start asking Sarah a question from an anonymous person, which is most of these questions, in fact. But they would like to know, is Galena going to start leaning more into defensive magic, given that she was so effective in the one time she used defensive magic?
Yes. The answer is yes. I did build her to be able to be good at defending her party members. The problem is that I haven't actually been playing D&D very long, and I hadn't realized how many things a wizard can do in their turn. So I've been meaning to use that shield in earlier fights, and I just forgot.
Well, you've now seen that it can be incredibly effective. And so I do think that, because we spoke when you created your character about that you had wanted to be kind of a supporty wizard. So seeing this question, I was a little bit surprised. Speaking of incredibly effective, another question coming once again from Anonymous. We all know Counterspell is trash, right?
I liked it quite a bit, actually.
It saved us a few times in the campaign, if I recall.
I mean,
those
that's
sound
fair.
like salty DM words to me.
Well, as a warlock, I just think it's funny. As a warlock, in the moments I use Counterspell, like that last fight, I used both my spell slots on it. I was like,
I mean, it does cost a spell slot. It's not like you're doing it for free.
No. So,
but two things come to mind. Patrick, you do know you can cast spells at a higher level.
I am aware.
So that it doesn't just automatically stop them. Number one, right?
This has turned into like DM workshop now. This is fun.
Number two, Patrick, you are aware you can give your bad guys counterspell.
I've used counterspell all my players before. But,
see, I think in a world where Braden has showed a propensity to just throw counterspell around willy-nilly, you need to have multiple mages, because it's really funny to counter a counterspell.
I've done that before, not in this campaign, but I have done it before.
It does lead to hilarious moments.
It generally leads to a chain of counterspells. I counterspell
does.
that one. I counterspell your counterspell. Well, I counter. Yeah, pretty funny.
Yeah, where you watch,
And then everybody's reactions and spell slots are gone. It's great.
Yeah,
it is
it's fantastic.
It works, and then you do the really big nasty thing with the bad guy. It works really well. So, all right, as long as we can, this individual would like us all to know that they don't like counterspell. I can also confirm that while I feel this way about counterspell, this was not my question.
I was gonna say this person.
No, my questions come much later. I didn't submit them until just before the show. This was not my question, but I do agree with this person. So, we're going to ask a question directly to Patrick, and it's not about counterspell. But your nephew is one of your youngest viewers when I let him watch, which varies. He does get to watch more often than his younger sister, who also submitted questions this week. But we're going to lead with one of your nephew's questions. Are there any good bugbears on Inara? And if not, can there be?
There are good bugbears on Inara. There are good bugbears on Inara in honor of my nephew, in fact, actually. There is a good tribe of bugbears. They do exist. They have yet to be run into, however. They're on the other continent. Is the big thing.
I think I can speak for my son when one should not be on the other continent. One should be somewhere where it can interact with the party.
We could look into arranging that.
Okay, because he would appreciate that if that were a thing that could happen. Now, are you able to tell us anything about these bugbears? Or will that be spoiler territory for when the bugbears are actually the impetus for all of the major problems?
No, since they're good bugbears, they're not. No, they are. They exist on the other continent. They exist in the. Let me pull up the nation they're in real quick. They're actually they're not the usual kind of bugbears. They are they are different. They don't do they aren't the usual pillage and plunder, dumb, brutish bugbears that you get from that you usually have. Sorry, I'm still pulling up what country they're in because I don't remember off the top of my head. They live in. They live in the country of Kolvar. Yep, in the country of Kolvar. Actually, they're very religious because Kolvar is a theocracy. So they have these bugbears have a higher position in the theocracy than a lot of other bugbears. Than other even other races because of Kolvar. Then they are they're the tribe of Kol, who is their dragon god. But we know that's what we know about them so far.
Okay. So here's this question then, expounding upon this to the rest of the party. How are you going to handle when a super charming bugbear arrives to interact with you sometime in the possible near future?
Okay, somebody do me a favor. I think I have a fairly good idea of what a bugbear looks like, but somebody find me. I'll just Google it.
I was like, that's what Google's for, Ian.
It's like a big, buff, hairy goblin or orc. They're just like ripped. They've got like ginger fur all over their bodies.
That's basically what I imagined. I'm trying to envision what they're. Okay, I see.
They're like the third best D&D monster.
What's the first?
Orcs.
What's the second?
What's the second?
Minotaurs.
I should have seen that
You're
answer
ignoring beholders, which is a crime.
I don't like beholders much either.
Beholders are
so
overdone. I grew up in the 90s.
When I played Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, when I was this is like a 20-year-old game. There was a beholder as a boss in one of the levels. That same night, my mom made wedding soup. And the way that they depicted this, I guess the way beholders look,
this is going.
It's like this little meat thing with the tentacle eyes everywhere. And my mother, the meatballs my mother made, somehow they were like, it was like a meatball center, and it had like little strings of meat coming off of them. And I was like, holy crap, my mom made beholders exactly from like the thing I just killed in the Thieves Guild of freaking Baldur's Gate.
Mm-hmm.
Wild stuff. Anyway, sorry.
I played through the era of Eye of the Beholder, where the only way to actually kill the Beholder boss at the end, because he's just that much more powerful than you, is you had to use a repulsor rod to drive him back into a giant spike trap. Otherwise, you couldn't win. It was actually just impossible. So
I just had to dodge magic missiles.
My enjoyment for Beholders is low. Plus, as a child of the 90s, Beholders appeared in a lot of my D&D games that I was a part of because people were super fascinated with them. So I can understand the love of Beholders, but I don't share it myself. Now, someone who does love Beholders, however, appears to be Lydia. And Lydia, an anonymous person, again, not me. I put my name on my things. Patrick can vouch for it. My name's in there.
You own up to your questions.
I do. Has Jelania come to terms with her fate?
Which fate are we talking about?
I don't know. All the anonymous person says is her fate. So
I have to assume that this is the like binary fate of the rest of Silhana or the Eternal Wars.
Possible. I believe it's in the Eye of the Beholder.
Right. I would say yes and no. She is such an incredibly nihilistic person that to some degree she's like, I don't care. It doesn't really matter. To a great degree, she sees the decision that is going to be made by somebody else, not her, as sort of like a spiteful thing. If she's like, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what I think is good and right. And if I get sent to hang out with Yarick, that's because the decision is based on subservience and not actual goodness. Like, I'm going to do what I think is good. And if I get sent to Yarick, it's because it's like, oh, but you didn't decide to follow Silhana directly. If there were an opportunity to escape that fate somehow, in similar ways to what was offered to Corvid, to like have control of one's own soul, she would probably take that in a heartbeat, kind of regardless of who it might be that's offering, or what is needed.
What would she trade for that?
I mean, it's really hard to make that decision. Of it, you know, she wouldn't do absolutely anything, but she'd do a lot. She would do a lot. So,
in a world where it sounds like she's still kind of up in the air, right? Like I like the fact that Jelania isn't allowing this fate to dictate who she is, right? Or how she carries herself. Because I feel that there are people or characters that I've played with in my very long history of tabletop RPGs who would, or NPCs who definitely would. So I appreciate that Jelania hasn't, but I am curious what it would take, what the consequences would have to be to force her to just be subservient for the sake of subservience. Like, obviously, her own soul's jeopardy doesn't do it for her. What does?
I don't really know. I think it would have to be certain specific people that she cares about, or lots of people that maybe it's like is enough to outweigh how little she cares about them. You know, if it's like the fate of the entire world, like could probably, or like, you know, a couple of the party members probably.
Yeah, that was my question.
You know, that kind of thing.
If Silhana appeared to Jelania and said, you need to do these things lest you be damned, she's gonna be like, I'm just gonna do what I think is right. But if she appeared to Jelania and said, you need to do these things lest Piotr, Corvid, and Galena be damned,
it would depend on the type of damnation. If it's just like, they're gonna go hang out with Yarick and like we'll all be buds in war together, like sounds great, sounds awesome. But if it's like their souls will be destroyed and
I
they'll
will
be there for
obliterate their
nothing,
souls, right?
yeah, like then it's just like, man, that's a whole different thing. But yeah, no, that probably would be enough. I probably would assume so.
So then again, same continuousness of the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
What if, is she so nihilistic that if she was approached by a divine being and said, you must be this subservient individual, follow these tenets, lest ye cease to exist and all memory of you is forgotten?
She would totally be like, nah, if people forget about me, that's fine. Probably better for everybody involved.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I think that
Edgy.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Yeah, I think
There's a lot of people who are sad.
it's true.
Maybe would be less sad if they didn't know who she was.
So we're gonna open this up for a minute. We're gonna hit everybody in the party here with this hot question that's not really that hot of a question. We have some hot questions later though, don't worry. You took a month off, right? For real life purposes. And that's understandable. It happens. How hard or how easy was it to get back into character and into the game after a month away? We're going to start with Sarah, because Sarah's had to take many months off from games of mine. So I think I can start with Sarah pretty safely.
It wasn't hard to get back into game at all. As soon as I knew that the day was approaching that we were going to get to play, I was very excited. Started thinking about where we'd left off and what my character was going to do, and I think I was so excited, in fact, that in the game, maybe getting back into the character of Galena, maybe a little bit more of excited Sarah came through than how Galena would have actually behaved. But
that is a thing you are guilty of. Yes, I can confirm that.
Shots fired.
It's fair. So, but let's shift over then to Braden. This is your first long-term game.
Yes, it is.
And this was you guys' first long-term break, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that, especially as a longtime GM, right? I can't speak for Patrick. I don't have privy access to Patrick's thoughts and brain patterns. But I know I, as a GM, would have concerns about a player who this is their first long-term game and we're taking a month away. How hard was it for you to come back? Not in terms of like, oh, I don't want to, right? Because obviously I don't think anybody had that problem, but more, how hard was it to get back into character? How hard was it to get back into the system?
So I think at least for me, like, it was a nice break just to kind of recoup and just have like a moment, a few weeks of breather, I guess. But I think coming back was like a little difficult, but as soon as we started, like the second we started, I was totally in. It was just like, this is right. Like, this is exactly how it should be. So it was really interesting because it was like a little bit of like, am I gonna be able to be Corbett as well as I've been, or whatever? Or I'll be honest, I was like, have I figured out how to solve all the problems that we left off with? No. Okay. So, but no, jumping in as soon as we started, it was like, oh, this is easy. This is great. This is fun. So, like, again, yeah, this is definitely my first long-term campaign. All my other ones fizzled out, but like coming back to it as soon as we started, I was like, this is right. I remember this. I like this feeling.
Okay. What do you think, Ian?
All right, I'm gonna be like 1,000% honest. It was difficult for me just because, like, it's a whole. For me, getting in that headspace is just like so. I don't know. It was difficult. I can't find the words, but I mean, hopefully, I was convincing. Maybe I wasn't. If not, I apologize. but and part of it was there's a lot that's kind of going on with Piotr, and I'm sure all of our characters behind the scenes, like in here, and like until things for me don't solidify usually until like mid session, and I'm like, all right, like you're at the top of this roller coaster, and you're like, okay, I have now been presented with this situation that I knew was coming, generally speaking, and now I just have to like we gotta dance with it, see what's gonna happen. So basically, the things that anyway, I'm not making any sense. All that is to say, like the break combined with the fact that I knew there were things I wanted to convey, and I didn't know exactly how I was going to do that, and I knew that if I just like worked it out in my mind, like step 1, step 2, step 3, it was going to come off as like contrived or stupid in a way that I didn't want it to. It was just like a compendium of nervousness. Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
it was
So,
difficult, but
I want you to
think
hang on to that
I
thought
done.
process for a minute, because we're gonna jump back to you in just a second and hit you with a question that's gonna feed off of those emotions. But I don't want to forget about Lydia and Patrick.
Cool.
So we're gonna go to Lydia.
How hard was it to get back into the game?
Yeah, was it hard? If it was, what did you struggle with? What did you not struggle with?
So part of it was actually fairly difficult for me because not only did we take that long break, but I also missed the session directly before the break. So for me, it had been nearly 2 full months without being in the campaign.
Mhm.
I literally finished watching the last episode about 20 minutes before we started, and my brain was so frazzled during all of it that I was like, okay, hang on. I have to remember that like I don't know this and that Anya doesn't like this thing and that thing, and I was trying to just like remember like all the tension and everything that was going on, so it was a bit difficult. It's never been very hard for me to like get into character, but there was a lot of that meta stuff that I was having trouble with last session.
Right.
And I'm fairly certain that there was some time where I was just like, oh yeah, like I assumed that she knew a thing and said a thing. I'm like, oh wait, she wasn't in the room for that.
She didn't know. Yep. Okay. So Patrick, I'm going to ask you from the GM perspective, because that's where 98.9% of my experience comes from. It can be very difficult as a GM to take that long of a break. You start to wonder if your players want to play anymore. You start to wonder if the reason for the break was not that you would ever think your players were lying, but there were underlying other issues, like, oh, maybe they're bored. And so having something come up was a super good out for them, right? I know all of those thoughts that cross a GM's mind. How hard was it for you to plan your session, execute your session, and execute your session to the degree of being broadcast on Twitch, right? Because there's a very different level of execution there to a home game with a bunch of buds around a table or in a Discord chat, not really caring.
Honestly, I was nervous. I was getting up. I was extremely nervous. Up until the minute before, I was even like, maybe I should just cancel and call it quits. Honestly, and I was just nervous. And like, some background, my home campaign had undergone a similar thing where people hadn't been able to show up for various reasons, and so we hadn't played in like legitimately played in 2 or 3 months. Like, we played like one session every 2 or 3 months, and I was talking with my players and my home game players, and came to the conclusion that we needed to reboot an entirely new campaign in order to get people reinvested. And it was kind of heartbreaking since it was a campaign I'd worked hard on. But I was like, that's fine, we can reboot a new campaign to get everyone reinvested. So I was just nervous. I was like, what if we get the same thing here and we hop in and people aren't able to re-engage, and people have just forgotten what's going on, or if people just aren't able to get back into character. So I was nervous, and but luckily we all just meshed as a group, and we meshed very, I think this group plays very well together. Definitely they're definitely a group that one of the best groups I've ever played with. And so luckily that's we were able to just hop back in and do pretty well, and Yeah, I was nervous. I was really nervous. I was like, did that month kill Ready to Roll? Is this campaign dead? Luckily, it did not. Ready to Roll is still going to continue, but it was a thought that was on my mind. I was really scared.
And I understand. Right? I have been there. Sarah can vouch for the fact that we've had times where we'll have a session planned, and then all of a sudden someone will be like, "Oh, I forgot," or "Oh, it was this Saturday, not next Saturday," or "Oh, such and such came up," and so then we don't play, and then it's like, okay, well, it's 2 more weeks until we can play again, and then the number of times that has been 2 weeks, and then 4 weeks, and then 6 weeks. And I think Sarah can vouch for the fact that I give you props for the fact that you maintained your composure, you maintained your plan, and you continued with your prep session, because that is why I prep nothing and I make no plans. Because that way, if you don't miss things, nobody has anything to forget, including you, right? You just then make it up at that point as a thing. So I give you full commendation.
I did with the month-long break, it gave me a lot of time to look at what was going on and be like, all right, let's figure out what can be done, what is going on, and see if I can help my players dig themselves out of the hole they have dug themselves into.
This is why you're a better GM than me. I wouldn't have done that. I would have just been like, nah, we'll figure out what happens.
You want to kill a party member?
Well,
do it.
Hadn't realized we dug ourselves into a hole.
Oh my heavens! As an outsider,
I mean,
you guys, this hole is so deep, it's unreal.
Yeah,
you guys are looking up and being like, "I didn't realize the Underdark was this close."
It was the session you weren't here. It was like there just wasn't a lot of progress made in the rescuing and saving the Archmatriarch department. And
None.
So
Zero.
There was a little bit, but
and then Daddy Evil got thrown in jail.
So Ian, have you held on to that emotional state?
Which one?
See,
I knew I should have hit you last, but
from earlier.
Yeah, from this question.
Okay,
that
sorry.
we're covering.
Sorry. I thought you were talking about Piotr's emotional state.
Well, but also like, Piotr's
constantly
emotional state.
No, I gotta chill out eventually.
Piotr's emotional. Do you think Piotr will find some semblance of peace in the upcoming arc in a world where he's recognized his crime, he's willing to turn himself in at this point? Do you foresee some semblance of peace for Piotr, or do you feel his penance will be long and fraught with emotional harrowing?
How do I answer this question?
I would suggest with words, but you do you. If you want to just give us facial expressions, we'll try.
It's incredibly prolonged eye contact.
Well, I think I'll use words, and you're welcome for that visual.
I also suggest Patrick, English. That is the main language of the stream.
I think it's the only language per chat rules. But, oh, man. Like, I know things, duh. But I don't know what to say about that, to be honest. TBD. You will find out.
All right. So this we'll finish with the not only other question asked to you, but an aspiring filmmaker is the title that they put in there. Who asked? An inspiring filmmaker asks you, Ian, you decided on the last episode to turn yourself in. Are you, the player, prepared with another character just in case?
Here's the dealio. I'm all in on Piotr. Let's say that. If he dies at any time, I will come back. Well, we'll see if it makes sense to come back with a character. If I do, it's gonna be a bomb A character.
I hope you realize that character death doesn't mean I'm gonna kick you out of the campaign.
Yeah, but We'll discuss
It's
that
a meat,
after stream.
the meat grinder, not of characters, but of players. That's the way Patrick has decided to.
No. Yeah, no. And I don't expect you. Anyway, we can, because actually, maybe we can bring this up. It's like, would we have enough time to tell? I mean, yeah, we could probably work out enough time to tell a meaningful story for a character, and
We'd figure it out. I mean,
yeah.
we kind of learned, several weeks ago with the Dark Priestess is very upfront with all of you that you're all expendable. That it just happened to be that the four of you are currently the ones whose trauma has progressed enough to the point that you're ready to be empowered by the blood of Morpheus. There's other people sitting in the wings, ready to go. So there's a way, I did very much leave that as a plot point on purpose to be like, you're the chosen of Morpheus, but you're not chosen in the way that the chosen of Silhana are. Chosen of Silhana have been prepared since birth, and they are the ones, and if they fail, they're screwed.
You're the conveniently accessible of Morpheus.
Yeah,
whereas
we're the chosen of Morpheus in the same way that when you've got a bag of potato chips to put your hand in, that's your handful of chips, but that doesn't mean those are the only chips you're going to be munching on.
That definitely works.
That's a solid
that's
analogy.
a solid metaphor. Maybe like the cards you drew, maybe a deck of cards would have been a better analogy, but yeah, potato chips.
Let's go with chips.
Yeah, it's just like just consuming for consumption's sake. Anyway, Please continue.
All right. Well, thank you for that. Braden, did you ever, for a second, consider siding with your mother?
For a second. And betraying the Archmatriarch?
Yep.
And the whole plot? No, not Corbett.
You're dead to me.
I know.
This was also not my question. This was once again asked by Anonymous.
He's still invested in it.
So he possibly, I would say if there would be a time when Corbett would have been tempted to do that, it would have been before back when he had Eladin. When he made that choice of like, hey, I'm gonna work with Branislav and the Saints, and like he was like, no, I am like this, I'm committing to something now. Like I am choosing that, and I am committing myself to at least this type of path.
Right. So at that point, your oath was thicker than blood.
Yeah, in a sense, that's what it was. But like before, if he had chosen Eladin or was still like debating, like that would be an option because he was still committed to the Saints. Yeah.
Okay. So at this point, Corbett, we're going to continue with your line of questionings once again from Anonymous. This particular,
so this is a mouse, just to be clear.
Possibly. I mean, it might be if they type very well,
like Algernon.
But it takes them 30 minutes to type out each question.
It's true, and it can't be Mickey because he's just got those giant fingers.
Yeah.
Please, Disney, don't sue. All right. For Corbett, it's been rough for you. You betrayed your dad, and he's in jail. Although he's technically been released, but you haven't actually seen confirmation that he's been released yet, or that he didn't die, or get maimed, brutally beaten, or otherwise further traumatized in jail, right?
Yes.
So you don't know that. You learned that your mother has done some very unsavory things. Adultery, lying, deceit, plotting the murder of a church official. Lots of those kind of things.
Yes.
They're not good.
No.
What long-term impacts do you foresee these events having on your family? Right? Like at this point, your sisters and you are somewhat welded together by virtue of faith and serving the Grand Matriarch, right? Does not change the fact that you betrayed Dad.
Mm-mm.
And they're not probably going to forget that. doesn't change the fact that they've been living in ignorant bliss with regards to your mother's problems for a long time, and probably could have been content to continue to do so for a long time, and you are the cause of that particular trauma by revealing that.
True.
How do you feel this will impact your relationship with your family? And not only that, but the standing of your family within the grand scheme of the nobility. Because right now, you are the quintessential definition of disgraced noble.
Like, you're hearing all these ideas.
I knew what I was doing.
that-
I know what story arc you told me you wanted to explore.
fair, yeah. I did not see all of it coming, but good job, DM. So let's see. With the family, I do think with his siblings, it's gonna be interesting. With his older sister Tatiana, I do think Tatiana and Corvette are really gonna be much closer than they have ever been. Just because they've been through similar trauma, and Tatiana understands kind of the type of things that Corvette's been trying to do, or just like whatever they're trying to stop. They know an inkling about. They understand each other more. So I think with Tatiana, to be honest, even with all these disgraced nobility revelation stuff about the family, like, she, out of all of them, will be the most understanding now, I think. At the end of the session, his younger brother was more open. So I think with him, it's a little more leeway as well. There'll be wiggle room, or like he'll be open to working and building a relationship. I think like his youngest sister, like, essentially Corvette ruined her wedding. Like, Corvette ruined her wedding day just and week and all of it. And so with her, like, who knows? Like, to be completely honest, I'm not sure. I think that one will be the hardest one. His dad will be very interesting, and I'm not sure. That could either be way to go for, stopping this.
I don't live in a world where I
assassination.
think he'll say, "Way to go, you put me in prison falsely."
No,
I feel
not
like,
that.
yeah,
Not that. He'll be mad, but
possibly
beyond the
disowning
point.
level mad.
And for Corvette, where he's been through, where he's at, that's something he was willing to give up before.
Mhm.
And if that happened for Corvette, it's not gonna, at least initially what he thinks, it's not gonna be, he's like, I was willing to give that up before. Whatever.
And that's so to finish out this question, are you prepared to quit role playing a noble and role play a former noble?
That would be very interesting. I wouldn't mind it. I think it'd be very fun to be like, oh wait, I can't do that thing now that I used to. I can't just, like, hey, you know who I am.
Oh, they'd
So,
still know.
they'd still know, but then they would actually not respond or respect that.
Yeah.
So
All right.
I think that'd be interesting. So.
I think that's an exciting possibility. So we're going to ask a couple questions to Patrick directly. And these are sort of quick, fiery ones that we won't dive too deep into because we have a plethora of to the whole group questions that we want to hit. But given Corvette's mom's dreadful intentions, affiliations, choices, decisions, and otherwise ne'er-do-wellness, how was she not prepared to do battle rather than be arrested?
Corvette's mom is the quintessential noblewoman. She was born and bred to be married off to a higher ranking noble for prestige and status. She was not trained in combat. She's, particularly since she's from more the southern portion of the empire that knows more peace. Shalanya is a noble, but she was trained in combat through a lot of things. But she comes from the northern part of the empire, where they are constantly in conflict with Norsay. And so that's just a whole different, the empire is huge and vast, and therefore there's a whole lot of different cultures, and even amongst the nobility. And so that's just not, Corvet's mom was born and bred to be the submissive, noble wife, and to, act more through subterfuge and through, subterfuge and through, behind the scenes than be an upfront fighter. And so, she didn't have a chance. She's literally like a level 0 character. It wouldn't have been like fighting Fredo, who had been training with magic his whole life and was a skilled magic user.
Not skilled enough to not cast spells at a high enough level not to be countered.
Yes. She just that's just what that's just what she was. She wasn't gonna. Mm-hmm. She couldn't fight. She couldn't. That just wasn't the thing that she could do, particularly in that situation. She was in front of, the emperor, the czar's son, both of whom are skilled, accomplished warriors in their own rights, both paladins of the, of Silhana, plus the, a good portion of the Imperial Guard, plus 4, at this point, relatively well-known, protectors of the Empire, Jelania, Piotr, and, Corvet had partaken in defense of, Norgarn, and, Galena had been traveling with them. There wasn't it just wasn't an opportunity. It wasn't something that she could do. She's not dumb.
So, and those are acceptable answers. I don't feel that they need a particular amount of further expounding, but something that does need expounding. Toro, friend of Elsa, wants to know why Minotaurs are so woefully underrepresented on Inara.
I got that reference.
It's a good reference.
For those of you who won't understand that reference, maybe you'll be willing to go investigate it. It's Toro, friend of Elsa, comes from the series of games which helped inspire this campaign. Toro is a Minotaur. So why are they woefully represented? They live on the other continent.
You guys need to get to the other continent so we can deal with some more interesting stuff.
We need to invent transoceanic travel. Is what we need.
I was like bugbears, minotaurs. There's probably a whole bunch more orcs over there, since it sounds like that's where all the monstrous things are. Like maybe for Lydia, there's a beholder hiding. Like you guys got to get across that ocean.
You will most likely never cross that ocean.
So disappointed in you.
At least not in this campaign.
Now it is going to be our entire goal.
They are going to abandon.
We're going to derail this campaign to build a boat and get to the Minotaurs.
We own a boat. We have a captain and a boat.
We
just got to be like,
own a boat.
Is it a transoceanic vessel? That's a thought we can go on later.
Any boat can be a transoceanic vessel if you believe enough and are willing to sacrifice enough bodily health to get there. All right, Patrick, very quickly before we jump into the wide spread of questions, which I think are very interesting. This is my question. What are the most common sports on Inara?
Most common sports on Inara.
Patrick's like, I
don't know. They like horseshoes. Say that.
Horseshoes.
I don't know.
Do horseshoes have large followings and tournaments that are broadly bet upon and witnessed?
No, I helped sort out the questions and I forgot this was one of them. No, I mean, amongst the nobility, yes, there are there are major horseshoe tournaments amongst the nobility. I mean, but in seriousness, you probably have your standard medieval jousting and combat tourneys and stuff like that. So in that regard, yeah, sure, but
okay. So I'm going to bounce around and just hit people with these questions. Sarah, what was the biggest twist or surprise for your character during this arc that hasn't really ended yet, but apparently we're saying it is? You're muted.
Wait,
Probably.
There we
No,
go.
I'm not muted. I was thinking, I mean, I think the biggest surprise is going to happen next session if we actually get through a wedding without anybody trying to kill us.
You will know.
But so far, and this is probably very naive of me, but I wasn't expecting Fredo to attack us.
I was. So, if that makes you feel any better. What about you, Lydia? What was your biggest surprise or twist for your character specifically?
In this past arc or the whole campaign?
Sure. I don't care. They didn't say.
I mean, biggest twist for Shalanya, if its whole campaign is the fact that her sister was the bad guy the whole time. I think, no, well, maybe not. Now knowing that it was actually the Dark Priestess, you know,
I was like, I also
manipulating
wasn't
everything.
surprised by that.
Yeah.
Must be
I don't know.
audience.
It could be that
No,
me and you
no.
tell stories very similar.
It could be that, yeah. What about in
Well,
this
like-
arc?
The biggest shock for the thing that causes me the most stress is like how all of a sudden Antivin, his attitude very much flipped, and that's like stressful. It's very stressful. That is like the thing that causes Anya the most anxiety, because all the life-threatening stuff is like, oh, I can handle this. I do this all the time. When someone's mad at her, that's a bit more of a scary thing when she doesn't know what's going on.
So here's a big one, and I think we're going to have some fun with this. If Embers Beneath the Mountain were to be produced as a live-action television saga,
Oh no.
and this is also asked by the individual who refers to themselves as an aspiring filmmaker, so, you know, be ready with that licensing contract, Patrick. Who would you, Braden, like to play your character?
Oh, this is so okay. Ooh. I don't know. Let's so many. Let's do Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay. All right. I could see, Jake Gyllenhaal being that. What about you, Ian? Who's playing Piotr?
Thank you, Patrick, for your approval.
It can't be Jake Gyllenhaal now. He's already been cast.
Well, he's about to be a Swiss Army actor. No, just kidding.
It's just all Jake Gyllenhaal. all the
Everyone's
time.
playing. Jake Gyllenhaal's playing everyone.
It's like one of those Jim Carrey movies where he's like 15 different characters.
Or Medea. It's a Tyler
Yeah.
Payne movie. It'll be fine.
No. Who? Man, I'm bad. Honestly, who would it be?
Good question. I don't know.
You know,
It wouldn't be Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool? Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool as Joker.
Oh, what's his whole? Oh, it's a thing. They changed the lore a little bit. He has a different getup now.
Not relevant to the
We have-
current question. Stay
we
on
have-
target, Ian.
In the chat, we have Jack Black as Piotr.
As Piotr, maybe. Man, that's a hard one.
I could see DiCaprio as Piotr. Like, to be honest, I could see DiCaprio playing Piotr.
Why am I seeing like Leonardo DiCaprio as Romeo Capulet or Montague?
Yeah,
And yeah,
sure. That's
the
totally.
vibe
I
I'm
could
picking
do it.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
No doubt.
Leonardo DiCaprio as Romeo in that awful film adaptation of Romeo and Juliet as Piotr. There it is.
all right. Sarah, who's playing Galena?
I have absolutely no idea.
Zoe Deschanel.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I could see that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like it.
Wait,
but I could see it.
wait.
See it.
What's her face from Parks and Rec?
Amy
I don't know.
Poehler or April Ludgate?
No,
April Ludgate.
April
yeah.
Ludgate. I can
What is her
kind
real?
of see it.
What is her real
I don't
name?
remember her real name.
It's April Ludgate.
Well, no.
Right?
No,
April,
April
Ludgate's
Ludgate's
character's
character,
name.
she's played by
Her
Aubrey Plaza.
Aubrey Plaza. Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza.
Aubrey.
Maybe.
no, I
I
don't
could not
see
see
it.
Aubrey Plaza. You have to remember that technically, because you're all looking at Sarah's hair. Galena is technically a blonde.
She's blonde.
She's strawberry blonde.
Strawberry
Yeah.
blonde.
Mm.
Which, I mean,
There are
hair
ways
color
of hair
in
dye.
Hollywood is variable, so...
Kate
Yeah.
McKinnon. Kate McKinnon.
I mean, I was literally
I
on the
can see
Amy
it.
Poehler train. Like, I think that Amy Poehler could totally be Galena. Like, I'm all aboard. Who's playing Z? Lydia.
I know that she's not technically an actress, but I really love Pink. Love Pink.
Hmm.
I feel like that would be
Pink can probably
Fairly accurate.
act in a
either that or Lady Gaga.
D&D level movie. Yeah, I
And
can
Gaga
see.
can act for sure.
Yeah. All right. So now the next part of this is this filmmaker wanted some answers. So, Braden, pick one of your party members, and I shall actually, in fact, pick for you. I want to
Okay.
know who you believe, just to speed it up.
Mhm.
Who do you see playing Z? And it cannot be Pink or Lady Gaga.
I agree.
Seriously, Jake Gyllenhaal was the first one that I thought of, so that's why I said him in the first place.
He can't play Jelania.
He's an incredibly
I mean,
versatile actor.
He's already
His
playing.
range is great.
Who would be good? Oh, that's hard.
I know. This is why I liked this question.
I just need to like go look at like a list of a ton of actors and be like, all right, that one would work. Let's do. No. I don't know. You'll have to come back to me. I'm sorry.
My disappointment knows no bounds. Not really. That's fine. Ian.
Adam just gave a really good win in chat.
Zoe Saldana.
Oh, yeah, that's her
Yeah.
name. Yeah, okay.
That's, yeah. I could see
Wait,
that.
who is that?
It's Gamora. Never
Gamora,
mind, you don't watch
Gamora.
MCU movies.
No.
The scary green lady.
Who is
Why is Gamora?
Okay, sorry.
I'll send you a picture. I'll send you a picture.
I could see Mila
Yeah.
Kunis playing Jelania.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see that.
actually.
Playing Jelania.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Because I know Sarah's knowledge of actors and actresses is minimal, we won't put her on the spot because she'll might get frustrated. But Lydia, I want to know who's playing your sister
Mm.
in the arc where you find out she's the bad, because the furtherance of this question goes on one of the main important NPCs.
Can I just point out that I hope, because you started to say in the arc where we find out that she's, hopefully it's the same actress throughout all the arcs and they're not just like, well,
I mean, her sister's only in that one arc.
No,
well, I guess that's true.
it's only relevant there.
Only right there for 3 episodes or something. I don't know. I don't know actors and actresses. That's why I chose.
Sorry,
musicians
Mr. Aspiring
instead.
filmmaker. I apologize.
I'm a
Yes.
bunker kid. I don't know famous people.
It's fair. It's fair. All right. Well, we will move on from that question since we're going to get a lot of staring, but we are going to ask Patrick three very important ones, and I expect an answer.
Okay.
Wait, can I volunteer an answer real quick?
Sure.
I want Emma Watson as Hermione Granger to play Galena.
Yes! Emma Watson. Dye her hair
Awesome.
blonde and she could play Galena.
I could see it. I could see it. All right, Patrick. Who's playing Artyom?
Who is playing Artyom? Christian Bale.
Artyom's not that old.
It's true. But that's my vote. Christian Bale.
Who's playing Kadiak?
Playing Kadiak. Oh, that's a tougher one.
Jason Momoa.
Oh yeah, who's playing Kadiak? Dang. I don't know who would play Cat. Maybe like have Sean
Will
Bean
Smith.
since he dies.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
I was gonna go
playing-
there, but I didn't. So
Who's playing Drith?
Playing Drift.
Tom Holland.
Yeah, Tom
Yeah.
Holland. I would say Tom Holland would be good. Henry Cavill would also Adam. Henry Cavill would be good as Artyom. I think Henry Cavill would be a good
That's
Artyom.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. Mostly Adam's writing, but
No, Christian
Adam's
Bale,
Jack.
really?
Who's playing the voice of Morpheus?
voice of Morpheus. I don't know who has a good bad guy voice.
Michael Ironside.
Morgan Freeman.
I was thinking Morgan Freeman as well.
He's got a
Same.
very iconic
James
voice.
Earl Jones.
James Earl
James
Earl
Earl
Jones.
Jones.
Yeah, I would have to say
Yeah.
based upon the inspiration for the game. Let me think. Yeah, I just have to verify some information really. Yeah, based upon John Rhys Davies, based upon the
John Rhys
Mm.
Davies.
John Rhys Davies, based
John
upon
Rhys Davies just doesn't
Yes.
do bad guy. That's the
True,
problem.
he doesn't.
In the what is it, Princess Diaries 2? He's the bad guy.
I don't know if we can count that as a great reference to bad guy.
My wife watched it a couple weeks ago. That's why I
Oh,
actually
the guy who
remembered that.
yes, Adam, yes, Mike, Christopher Judge.
Yeah, Christopher Judd.
Christopher Judge, he would be good. That's
Okay.
Morpheus.
And who plays the voice of Silhana?
That's rough. Plays the voice of Silhana.
Who plays Galadriel? Because she's got some beautiful.
Kate
voiceover in this
Blanchett?
movie.
Kate Blanchett,
Kate Blanchett.
would be good.
Where's Galadriel from?
Lord of the Rings.
Lord-
Ian.
That's literally okay. That's precisely
Ian,
what
I
Ian?
am like East.
Yoshi is
That's
going
what
to
that's
die.
what I want. Okay. I want Galadriel to play Silhana, and then I want Hugo Weaving to play Morpheus. And just put them against each other.
That would be good.
I think that'll play well.
I have watched the Lord of the Rings movies, full disclosure, never read all of the books. And in the movies, like, I don't think her name is mentioned more than like
It's constantly said.
Constantly said.
Is it?
It's said a ton, and then she has her whole big "I will be as beautiful and terrible as the." Like, no, Ian, you're dead to me.
We're
In
removing
place
you
of a
from the
Dark Lord,
campaign.
you would have a queen.
Yep.
Mhm.
Speaking of dead, think about this, everybody. Your character has been captured and sentenced to death. You are given your last meal. Chef Alexandros would like to know, what does your character have the chef prepare? Ian.
Wait, I checked out
Piotr's
somehow
last
in the
meal.
Piotr has been captured and sentenced to death. What is Piotr's last meal?
Now I gotta think.
Yes.
Oh, Ian, this might be for the next session.
You might need to be repped.
Prepare, bro. It's time to. I don't know. It's so hard to me. It's so hard for me to think of like such a like quotidian thing in that world. I don't know why.
Yeah, the word quotidian.
Yeah, what?
What is that?
Daily, day to day.
I mean, it wouldn't be a day-to-day meal. It'd be a special
no, this is
meal.
your last meal.
Your last meal ever.
I know, but it's like
All right, while we let Ian agonize, Braden, what's
A
Corvid eating?
curry of some sort.
I expected more.
Sampling the stuff from the nation of old.
he's like, I don't need meat. Give me curry.
What about
mean,
Z?
He would have had
She
it
doesn't
probably.
want a meal. Don't you dare try and be nice with her right before killing her. If they gave her anything, she wouldn't eat it.
Yikes.
Sorry, Chef Alexandros. Sarah, what's Galena eating if she's sentenced to death?
She's going straight to dessert. She wants something pastry related.
Okay,
All right.
go for it, Ian.
Piotr wants suckling pig.
Okay,
A whole pig?
yeah.
I mean, no,
Yeah.
just like suckling pig. I mean, yeah, maybe the whole thing. I don't
That's
know.
what a pig. That's what suckling pig is.
Yeah,
It's
but
a
You
whole
don't think
pig.
it's the whole thing.
I mean,
I mean,
you
and
do.
you live longer, right?
All right.
It takes a few days to eat it.
Like Deep Frito would like to point out.
How do
Yoder is
you
going
eat
out
an
fat and
elephant?
happy.
He's going out fat and happy.
One bite at a time.
All right. We're going to hit some more questions really, really fast. I got 3 more, and 2 of them I have to ask because they're from my children. My son would like to know very quickly, if your character could have a pet that fought by their side, what would it be? How would it fight? And what would you name it, Braden?
They exist in an Arctic fox.
Okay.
And how would it fight? Like a
fox.
Like a
Like a
fox.
fox.
Like a fox.
What does the
Yeah,
fox
what do you-
say, though?
What? Oh
How would
no.
he
Ding,
fight?
ding, ding, ding.
Arctically.
Yes. And
Ice
then
breath.
name. Ooh. I don't know. That's harder to think up on the spot. Titan, because
Okay.
he's so small. He's like, but you're important. You're
It's-
bigger than life to me.
Irony.
All right, Ian. What's your pet and what's its name?
It'd be a dog named Reginald.
What kind of
Like a
dog?
border collie.
Border collie. What about Z?
Panther.
She already has a pet. Oh, Z. I was thinking Glee.
I mean, Z kind of has a pet too. His name is Antivin.
Rip.
Yikes.
But now she'd go for a panther. His name would be like Eagle or something like that.
Okay.
She just kind of let him do whatever he wanted.
Besides your familiar, Sarah, what about you?
Oh,
Where do-
so well, she doesn't really think of Luchik as a pet anyway. He's more of like a partner in crime. She'd have a boar. It would charge and gore things.
Yep. From a mile away. I could see that answer. All right. This one's also big. This one's for my daughter. She's 5.
This
If
is actually
you're-
a very important question.
It is. If your character were to be invited to a grand ball or a wedding, what would you wear? What colors and fabrics would it be made out of? And how would your hair look?
Oh, is this we're gonna go over next week in game?
Yeah, but she definitely doesn't get to watch the Wedding of Death episode. So,
Who says there's
No
gonna be
spoilers.
death? Who
um,
says there's gonna be death?
It's not the red wedding.
it probably is going to be somewhat like that. All right, Braden, what are you wearing to your sister's wedding? What fabrics and colors are it made of, and how does Corvett's hair look?
So the fabrics, I honestly have no idea. I'm not a fabric connoisseur, so whatever is fancy and nice and comfy, because he doesn't want to be itchy when wearing it. He would probably stay away from purples. He's not fond of that color right now. But I don't know, probably silvers and blues. Maybe deep blues right now. I mean, his family colors are like a dark. Is that like a navy blue almost color and silver? So probably in those colors. His hair would be. It's definitely longer now through the campaign, so he probably have like the kind of like a pony. I don't know what to
top
call
knot?
it. Like kind of a top knot, and then hang the rest down. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, that type of. That's what he would do.
Okay.
Because yeah, it's just been a mop for the
Okay.
past like 3 months of the game.
What's Galena wearing to this wedding?
Oh, that was already established in our last game. She's wearing her usual gown, the purple brocade with the green satin that she keeps using mending and prestidigitation to clean, so it's still perfectly pristine.
What about her hair?
I imagine that her hair is usually down and it's wavy, so it gets sort of like messy easy. So her hair is usually kind of a little bit of a mess because it's waist length. So for the wedding, it's going to be, properly brushed out, and she's probably going to like pull half of it back up into like a braid or flowers, and it'll look all neat and tidy and not messy this time.
All right, I'm challenging you to do your hair for the wedding game, Sarah. You've been challenged. What's Z wearing?
I've actually thought about this a lot because this wedding has been coming up for like 4 months now. So Z's gonna wear a red dress, like sleeveless red dress that's not like big and poofy, but isn't like straight down, has a little bit of body to it, with like a gray lace over it. You know what I'm talking about? And then like, I don't know what they call them, but like a little bit of extra lace that's like attached like one of her fingers and comes off to the side like that.
Okay.
Just plain old normal hair though, because doing hair with horns is a pain. It doesn't look the same.
So cool.
Not her horns, not the same way.
All right, Ian. Let's say Piotr isn't in jail for this wedding, or executed.
Are we saying like what will Piotr wear to the wedding if he can, or what would he under ideal conditions?
Under
Because
ideal
currently-
conditions.
Okay. Piotr would wear a black oh shoot. Why am I forgetting words? It's gonna be black. With black tunic with gold buttons and black trousers with, I was gonna say brown, but that clashes with this outfit. White mid-calf boots. Like the, on your leg.
Mm-hmm. Hat? No hat.
Yes, a hat. What kind of hat? Good question.
Big white hat with like a gold plume?
Would white? Yeah, white would be a good accent with the gold. Yep, I think that's what we're doing.
All right.
And maybe like black trim.
We want to avoid the gold because gold is reserved for letting the bride and groom in our.
He's already gonna die.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Kill me?
Yeah, the bride will.
Turning himself in for murder. I mean, okay. Let's say hypothetically, we'll make this our last question. Hypothetically, despite the time spent chit-chatting, despite all the other things, you managed to save the Archmatriarch. Just hypothetically. And the church then sees fit to grant each of you a boon of a magic item from the sacred archives. What magic item would your character ask for? Or would you choose a different kind of boon instead? We'll start with Sarah.
Are we making up things that are in these archives? Because I don't know what.
Yeah, it's essentially what magic item do you want? So Patrick cannot be benevolent and give it to you.
Spellbook with a whole bunch of spells.
Okay.
The spell
About you,
book
Ian?
of spellbook of Bronislav.
There you go. That'll work.
Item, magical item.
Well, it's up to you, right? The question is, what you're granted a boon from the church. Now, it could be any magic item from the sacred archives, which means you get to make something up. Or would you instead choose a different kind of boon, such as like being pardoned for some terrible crime?
Pardon is complicated, so we'll go not with that. Some sort of resurrecting implement.
Okay.
A little late for that.
Why? I mean, we'll talk about it later.
All right, so a rod of resurrection. What about you, Z?
Similar to the last meal thing, she don't want anything from the church. She would just say, "No, you can keep it. I'm good."
It's like, I would
It's a
still take
horrible
something.
waste. Horrible.
She doesn't need a lot.
There are very few people or organizations I hate so much that I wouldn't let them buy me a meal.
Yeah.
Just saying.
No. Any magical item from the sacred archives. Nah. I'm out. All right.
Unless
Corbett.
they have something of Yarik's. She don't want it.
It's fair.
Cool.
To be
Let's
fair, they
see.
probably do. It's probably locked away in like the forbidden section
The restricted section of the
where you
library.
might get expelled if you go.
The book. The book.
Or worse,
Yeah.
expelled.
Mhm.
All right, Corbett. What are you asking for?
I mean, it would be hilarious for a deck of many things.
I would hate you forever. You would never play in any of my campaigns again.
What about a Wabbajack?
You would also never play in my campaigns
Wonder.
again.
I don't know, Corbett. I don't know, because he kind of already has a magic like spear, and he's like, I talked to a saint, so he can probably help me.
Again,
But
it doesn't
I'm
have to be a
revising
magic
my
item.
answer.
It could be a boon of any sort.
It can be a boon of any
I don't
sort.
know, like a boon, like
Literally the most powerful organization in the Empire.
I'm revising my answer, but you go first, Brayden. Finish your thought.
to be. I don't know. Does like the church have like ambassadors or things like that to other continent and
Probably.
countries?
It's a
things like
boon.
that?
You're making it up.
So something like that. He'd want to be like, "Hey, make me something like this," or
Church definitely does have the sway with the government to make that happen.
so. So that would be probably. I mean, he's like, Arcadi, hey,
No.
but no, probably something like that, or for himself it'd be something like that.
Okay.
So that he could travel and see more places. And if it's not just for him, if it's for like his family, like I don't know, like forgiving his siblings and stuff. He's still figuring out how he feels all about his family and all the random crap that happened. So, but he
Gotcha.
wants them taken care of and watched over, and like even if his mom is in jail, it's like take care of her.
Let's be fair. Jail's going to be a lucky end game for her, given the whole plotting to kill the Archmatriarch.
Oh yeah, that would be
Like,
very.
I mean, you could maybe you could try to ask that they pardon her soul, right? Like, as if
Like, save her soul,
your
please.
boon. Please
Yeah.
just save her soul. All right, Ian, hit us with that revised answer.
My revised answer is Piotr would request the ability to transform into, at will, any person, object, extraplanar, well, maybe not extraplanar entity, but person, creature, or thing. I want Piotr.
Possibly
Piotr wants
beyond
Piotr.
the church's
Yeah,
scope. Might be
Well,
beyond.
he'd ask for it. He wants to become a human mimic.
Okay. The correct answer is a rod of lordly might or a wondrous figurine, just so we're aware.
Wait, what are those things? Please explain.
Wondrous figurine is like if you've read the R.A. Salvatore Dritz books, that's what his panther
cool.
comes from, is a wondrous figurine. But there's all kinds of different ones. The fly is really cool, the ebony fly, because it becomes a fly the size of a horse, and then you can just ride a fly.
Just creepy. Okay.
It's really cool though, because you get to fly at that point. Plus, your enemies are not going to be down getting charged by a warrior riding a fly, right? Like at that point, you have the fear factor on your side. A rod of lordly might, it looks like, like a scepter, like a king would wear, and it has a bunch of jewels on it. but as you press the jewels, it like becomes a sword or a spear or a flail or throws fireballs or all those kind of things. It is miles and away my favorite D&D item. But with that, we have exhausted the questions. Mostly we've exhausted our time. So it's probably time to pack it up, pick it in, and, move on. But before we go, Elizabeth W., the only other person to submit their name, would like to know, Patrick, is there a prophecy of doom?
Mm-hmm.
Is it prophetic? Sorry, is it poetic? And can you recite it?
There is not a prophecy of... Okay, there's not a prophecy of doom related with what's going on right now. I am not much of a poet, and so it's not really poetic. I'm working on that skill, but all the sacrifices have phrases and wordings that go with them that you guys have heard of, and I do recite them when you get to the sacrifices, and so we will recite them when it comes. I mean, I guess I could go through the ones that we currently have discovered. A reminder, like if I can find them. Nope, I don't have them anymore. I did not save them. That's bad. I'll have to look into that.
Alrighty. Well, with that, everybody, thank you so much for your questions. I want to thank the guests tonight, the cast of Ready to Roll Embers Beneath the Mountains. We have Braden, who plays Corbett. We have Sarah, who plays Galena. Lydia, who plays Jelania. Ian, who plays Piotr. And of course, Patrick is the game master for that particular game. We did all of those various announcements and stuff before, so just a reminder, normal Ready to Roll schedule next week. Come enjoy, and hopefully not everybody dies, but if they do, I will gift 2 subs per character death. And with that said, good night. We'll see you all next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.